Now, I know this term is, you often work with clients, the up and coming, the up and coming fanciers in the breed, so to say, and they transition at some point from a novice breeder on to taking this more seriously and transition into an established kennel. Maybe in terms of getting more dogs, breeding more dogs. But what are the milestones that a novice breeder should focus before they make that decision to transition into a bigger established kennel?
Okay, well, you want to, of course, start off with the best quality that you are capable of purchasing. Decide on what bloodlines you like and what breed type you like. There are many factors that are stopping people from becoming, large wholesale breeders because in today's society, many local zoning laws are preventing people from owning more than 3 dogs. It's The veterinary costs are becoming prohibitive. Um,
But a milestone to becoming a bigger time breeder is what you're saying.
well,
Right.
I guess consistently producing, quality dogs, not just, you can get lucky with one or two, but I think the consistency of it and I don't know.
that's a hard question.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let me ask you another hard one then. So breeders often associate themselves with the term preservation breeder, right? They often call themselves preservation breeder. Um, and being a breeder and a successful one at that, what does that term mean to you?
I think preserving the breed's health, I think is number one. And number two is the quality and the consistency of type
Mm-hmm.
in a boxer, I think. And, the temperament is a hallmark of the breed, I believe. So I think that would be what a preservation breeder would be.
Okay. What about you, Linda?
I agree with Monique. Somebody who consistently breeds consistent type and healthy, happy dogs, and someone who can also encourage new and young people coming into the sport would be a plus. Someone who's respected.
Right. Right. Um, Now, I want to get into handling aspect of things right now, and this would be a question for both of you. What's the first thing that gets on your mind when you enter the ring? I'm talking about the mindset of a handler. What are some of the variables playing in your role? Because this is something which is could be nerve wracking for an owner handler showing a dog. How is it for somebody who does it for a living and somebody who's a professional handler?
Um, I don't know. When I enter the ring, it's just me and the dog for the most part. I mean, each dog is different, so I have to cater to however I have to handle each one individually. But as an owner handler, I think people need to understand that it's just you and the dog that really matters. And every time you practice at home, it's the same. Just because there's people watching, you shouldn't do any differently. I don't know. Yeah, I think for me, nothing else really exists. It's just me and the dog, whichever dog I have.
Right, right. And how was it back then, Linda, when you actually showed dogs and the numbers were much more than what it is right now?
Whoa, let me tell you, when I first started in the breed, there were all your top handlers. It was a power breed when I started, meaning it was very competitive and it was handler dominated. And some of the top handlers, that was their breed, boxers and Dobermans back then. Um, and it was very competitive, and I had to learn by watching these people and taking away what I felt would work for me and my dogs and apply it to my training techniques. And it was quite an experience. I mean, those handlers back in the day, they were very clever. Not only could they present a dog, they could unnerve you and your dog pretty well. That was all part of the game. But I guess people have become kinder to one another in the ring. It's not as, shall I say, cutthroat as it was way back when you would walk in the ring of maybe 15 dogs and 11 of them were the top handlers from all over the country you were competing with. And there was a lot on the line back then. There was a lot of moneyed clients, people who took it very seriously, winning and losing. And the stakes were higher, I think, back in the day. And I learned through my swimming experiences, you had to just go out there and convince your dog and yourself that you were the best out there and shine. And it goes right down the lead to your dog, how you're feeling. So the minute you walk through the threshold of that ring, you had to be up and the dog had to be up, but he had to be a controlled animation and up. And,
Right.
that's how you got the best performance out of your dog. He had to go out there and stand out. He couldn't just go out there and stand there. You wouldn't win a ribbon ever.
Right.
So
Right.
he
Right.
had to be a willing participant. And that was
Indeed.
exciting, to get him to behave that way. It was fun.
No, indeed. 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 Um, Monique, I know that you have had a chance to travel out of United States to show dogs. What has been your experience like showing dogs outside of United States?
It's very different. I went to India, so as you know, it was very male dominated. I think me and a couple of the other girls at the kennel that I worked for brought in were the only female handlers. Um, it was quite an experience. I really, really, really enjoyed myself though, but it's very loud. It's very hectic a little bit. It's not so scheduled and like constructed as the United States
Organized.
is. Yeah. But no, I really enjoyed myself. It was really cool.
Right, right, and I know you actually, you were quite successful showing, winning a few best in shows while you were there, but you also had a chance to witness a few boxes while you're there that were being shown. Um, what are some of the tips that you would like to share with those breeders in India on the quality of their exhibits? What do you think, based on what you saw, that they should be working on?
So conditioning of the dogs wasn't as important to them as it is to us. But I think that it's a completely different culture and a different area and all of that. And I think that they have a hard time. I think they need a little help from American breeders because their quality over there, if you want to improve, you need to be able to breed to quality dogs or have access to the quality of dogs. You can't just breed, poorer quality to poorer quality and hope you're going to improve. So I think
Right.
they do need help from some American or other lines.
Right, right. Now, do you see, in terms of in terms of the handling, the quality of handling that they show? Do you have any inputs for the handlers that you actually witnessed or saw?
So over there, I was told I move the dog too slowly. So they race around at 100 miles an hour, and I think personally, and as a breeder, I need to see the dog move at a normal pace for me to know, the faster you go, the more you're trying to hide. So I was told, slow down, slow down. They race around. They're a little bit hectic, but I was honestly impressed with overall the quality of the handlers there. To be honest with you, there were some that would definitely be able to compete with the handlers here. I mean, I'm not saying all of them, but I would say
Right.
I could name probably about 5 or 6 that I thought were very talented handlers.
Very good, very good. Were you there? Were you there for the trip, Linda? Or was it just Monique that
No,
went?
I stayed behind. We had, our
Okay.
own dogs at home, and we have horses at home, and it's just hard
Right,
to get someone in the house to take care of
right.
everything. So I
Very
missed
good,
it.
very
You know.
very good, very good. Maybe the next time, both
Mhm.
of you could maybe enjoy it. Possibly when it's not as hot as it is today, you could probably plan a trip to India. I want to get back to I want to actually get back to picking puppies, right? The picking puppies with show potential. Um, I know people actually have different lines for picking a puppy. Some breeders I've heard say, I can pick a winner when it's wet. Some people say, they got to be mooing. What's your sweet spot? What is your sweet spot on what's the right time to evaluate a puppy with show potential?
So for me personally, I don't want to promise anyone a spectacular show dog until they're 4 months old, because I think, you can evaluate them at 8 weeks and we can say, okay, this one's going to get its ears cropped, this one's going to stay. But for me to be able to say, this is my next special, or this is something really special, they have to be 4 months to 5 months old. That's me personally. I don't know about you.
Well, I don't like to look at a litter to begin to evaluate them, other than their markings, of course, and maybe the shape of their head or length of body. But as soon as they stand up and start to move around, you can tell a lot. And then I take into consider temperament. I mean, you can have the most gorgeous conformation on a puppy, but if he is lackadaisical and he wants to be a lazy lord, he will never shine for you in the ring. I mean,
Right.
I've seen inferior dogs that would show their hearts out and beat a better dog a lot of times, just because of his animation and willingness to exert and use himself. So I'd say at 4 weeks, I'm starting to get a pretty good idea. But again, they go through changes, and certain bloodlines mature at certain stages. You have to worry about the testicles in male dogs, how the bite's going to develop. And again, that temperament accounts for a lot, especially in a show dog.
I have to a little bit disagree with that statement.
Okay.
Because we've had quite a few litters, and my favorite thing is raising them to become show dogs.
You make them into show dogs. Yes.
And I've had, so if you had asked me the question, nature versus nurture, before I started breeding dogs, I would tell you that it's nurture over nature. Now, after I've bred quite a few litters, I have to say that it's not the case. It is definitely nature over nurture. However, I still find it really intriguing, and I really enjoy taking the challenging ones and making them show dogs. We have a puppy now that she's decided she's afraid of men for no reason whatsoever. I've raised her the same way I've raised every dog in our kennel. And
stop it. Shh.
Don't let her, don't.
No singing.
And I take a lot of pride in how hard I've worked how to get that dog to become a show dog. And I think she'll make it.
She's a year and a half old. Not too many people are that dedicated.
Well,
and it took a lot of work. A lot.
No, it's not. It's not easy. So you would pick two different dogs. You would pick a dog based on temperament, Linda, and Monique, you would pick a dog based on
structure.
The virtues and structure of the dog.
Oh, no, I would not discount structure at all. No, but the temperament's a plus, a definite plus. You want the whole package if it's possible.
Indeed. Yeah. But is that the deal breaker? Is that a deal breaker for you, Linda? Because you mentioned temperament in quite a few things. You mentioned temperament in your breeding choice.
Right.
You mentioned temperament is a key component. When you decide on pairing two animals together, right? So, and that's why I ask you this question. And again, let me actually rephrase this question differently, and I'll put it as a question for handling. I know temperament is something which every breeder should aspire for in their program. But do you think that is a virtue that we have in the breed in North America right now?
Again, can you repeat that?
I'm sorry. Is temperament a virtue, or is that an opportunity for us as far as the breed goes in North America?
It's an absolute virtue to have an outstanding temperament.
Agreed.
It doesn't come along that often. I mean,
wait, hold on.
My question was more about whether we have that. No, my question is more about. I often hear that a good handler can often camouflage temperament.
Yes.
Because a judge has possibly about 2 minutes to judge a dog, and a handler can actually can hide that aspect. Now, considering that means that winning dog the which actually becomes the flavor of the month, passes this on to the offspring. Do you feel that we actually could be having dogs with better temperament than what we have right now?
I think it's about, I think most of them out there now have good temperaments. You still see a lot of shy dogs out
Mm,
there. Um, and unfortunately, if they're very, very shy, you'll never be able to turn it into a show dog or, even a very reliable pet. I mean, that's a very insecure dog that needs to be in someone's home in a fenced in yard, and he can't take change. And yeah, a dog that needs to be guarded all the time, if he's so insecure. I
right,
have a big
right.
problem with bad temperaments. Yeah.
No, true. I know, Monique, you answered that question about nature versus nurture. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you something else. What do you think are the handling do's and don'ts that you would share with share with anybody, with someone up and coming newcomer who wants to get some tips from you? What are handling do's and don'ts?
Sure. One of my favorite tips that I tell people is I don't introduce bait into training my puppies until they're like, I don't know, 7, 8 months old. So, because the attention span of a puppy is very little, and a boxer in general is pretty little. So, I don't like to feed them. I don't like to, when I stack them, I want them to learn that when I put their feet where they're standing, that's where they're to stay. And if you introduce food, then all they care about is the food. So all they're looking for is the food. You're not ready to give the food, you're not ready to stick the food in their mouth yet, and they're turning around looking for the food. So that's one of my favorite tips to tell people is I don't introduce any breed. I don't introduce food until they're ready to stand still for longer than 30 seconds without food being stuck and fed in their mouth. So
Okay.
that's probably one of my favorite tips in training. And I guess, yeah, that's probably.
Any don'ts that you would say, hey, don't do this? This makes me cringe when I see somebody doing it. Anything like that?
When dogs are trained to stand in the stack with food constantly in their mouth, how can the judge see the full silhouette when there's a hand shoved in the dog's face? It's my
Right.
best friend Morgan and I talk about that all the time. It's one of our biggest pet peeves.
Okay. Very good. Very good. What about you, Linda?
Well, I try to encourage people to play train and teach the dogs to stand first, and it's all done quickly when they're babies, just play, stand, stay, done. And then I put the whole routine together. I teach them at certain stages, certain things that you want done, how to walk, how to turn. And I don't teach it all in a uniform, structured manner. It's done in increments and show your bite and okay, we're done with that. And here's the toy and fetch. So I make it fun, fun, fun. And then probably right around the time they're going to walk in the ring, then I put the routine together for them because boxers become very bored very quickly and
Right.
lackluster. I mean,
Mm,
after a while, they'll be yawning at you. And so I tried to encourage that. And then when I taught handling class, at the end of every handling class, I would have all the participants and all the people who were just spectating clap when the dogs went around the ring the last time,
right.
because that saddens me to see a beautiful class of animals go around the ring, people start clapping, and then they fall apart.
Right.
So that was
Right.
always something that I trained them, that when they heard clapping, that was a good thing and they should be on their toes and it's all for them and it's a good thing. So
Right. Right. Very, very true. Very true. I know in your career spanning, and this is a question for both of you, what's been the most proudest moment for both of you? Well, you can, Monique, you can say, or Linda, you can say, hey, that's yet to come. But I'm sure you had some moments that that made you really happy doing what you do. Putting all those hours behind. Any such recollections that you would like to share?
well, I'm going to say one of my proudest moments was when Monique won the futurity with our flirt.
Yeah.
That was a first for me. In all the years that I bred and all
Mhm.
the dogs that I handled, I never got to that point. So that was a first for me. I mean, we did win back in '91. We won winner's dog at the ABC, but winning the futurity as a breeder, I like the futurity. So when Monique won it, that was a very proud moment for me. Yeah.
Excellent. And what about you, Monique?
It was the same win, but it was just the right, all the stars aligned. It was, I had the right dog, I had the right judge. You know, Chris Baum is one of the most respected people in boxers, one of. So it was just, it was really special. And I knew going into it, I was so excited. I couldn't sleep the night before. I was like, you know, I know what I have at the end of my leash. I know she's going to perform. I know Chris is going to like her. You know, it was just, it was really cool.
Type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Very good, very good. You know, it's like everything coming together, right? So that makes it all the more satisfying for sure. I have a last few questions for you. I know I've asked you this question in a slightly different fashion, but I'm going to ask this again. Could you list some of your all-time favorites? You know, this could be dogs bred by you or dogs that you have seen and over the years. Your all-time favorites. If you
One
were
of
to
my
name three
all-time
dogs.
favorites for me, I was the JD bitch. Burleson's, I believe, was her kennel name. The one that who showed her? Dylan Kipp showed her for a while for Rhonda Kenny. I really love that bitch. I mean, I saw her for the first time in person at the top 20 during COVID, and she had another handler on her, and she looked better when no one touched her. And for me, that's pretty rare for a boxer because, you know, a lot of them, they have to be put together and they're stunning and they're beautiful and you look at them and you're wowed. But she looked better when no one was touching her. And I think that was just, for me, that was the dream. Really.
Okay.
Because a lot of boxers, I think, are really beautiful when you put them all together. But when they stand alone on their own, I think it's really impressive.
Right,
So she was
right.
one of my favorites. Thor, I think, looked like all the statues that you see, every silhouette you see of a boxer, you know, but he looked just like one of those cutouts. He was really impressive to me, that dog. Who else? Devlin, of course. She was beautiful.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. Yeah, those are probably my top three.
Okay. Yeah. And over to you, Linda. What about your top three?
Well, I agree with Devlin, of course. She was a beautiful bitch. I tend to like the bitches. I like the Marlboro's Rehab of Wesson bitch a lot. Chris Baum's Miss Saturday Night was a beautiful bitch. Of course, Cachet was Chick Chickarini. Had her way back in the day, was a lovely bitch. And again, a lot of the breed type was very similar. They were all had lovely heads, and you know they fit the standard very nicely. So I really put a lot of emphasis on bitches. I gotta say.
Very good, very good. Now coming to your favorites, I know I asked this question specifically on your all-time favorites. What about your dogs bred by you? So do you have a favorite on the dog that you have bred so far?
Sure. Of course, Flirt, Ginny. I think Ginny, they're both lovely, lovely bitches. And anybody who asks me, they say, you know, if you had the two of them in the ring, which one would you choose? And it would be on the day, honestly. And I mean that. And everybody, you know, Flirt obviously was my favorite. I handled her. I, you know, did all the winning with her. And Krista Cook showed Ginny because we had them out at the same time. But I think that both of them were lovely, lovely bitches. I think my Coca-Cola dog has a lot to offer the breed. I think that a lot of the attributes that he has, the breed is lacking. He's got a wonderful temperament. He's got elegance with bone, which I think a lot of them are losing. A lot of they don't have that arch of the neck that he so prominently has with the elegance, with the side. Yeah, he has a lot to offer the breed, I think. Yeah. So.
Very good, very good. Thank you. And what about you,
well,
Linda? Would you add anything more to that list already, or
no? We hope that we are able to reproduce more of those in the future.
Okay.
I have the little bitch I have, Timer.
Yes,
Timer is lovely also.
Who will be coming out next year.
Yeah.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Do you like time travel? Because my next question is going to be that. I'm gonna put you in the phone booth, Doctor Who's phone booth, or Marty McFly's DeLorean. You choose whichever you want to pick. But I'm going to send you back in time. You decide where you want to go. But if you had that chance and you had a chance to bring a dog back with you, I know the phone booth will make it a little bigger. If you had a chance to bring that dog back with you, which dog would you bring and why?
I think I would probably bring back Famous Amos. I think that dog looked I never saw him in person. He was before my time, but I think from pictures, he looked a lot like everything I think I would enjoy in a dog. He looked like a stallion of a dog.
Yeah.
He looked really very impressive. So I would bring him back.
Wonderful. And what about you, Linda?
I would bring back the Shere Khan Shadrach dog.
Okay,
He was a
very good.
beautiful Canadian dog, again, a stallion of a dog, and also a producer.
Mhm.
And he had a lot of he oozed type, and yeah, that would be the dog I would bring back and want in my breeding program. If I
Excellent.
could.
Thank you so much, ladies. And that actually, in essence, concludes our interview. Thank you so much for doing it.